start? Thank you very much. Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Can you hear me there? You can. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
I would ask everyone to adjust your microphones.
How's that?
Mr. Ahrens,
Here.
Mr. Christensen,
Present.
Mr. Frericks.
Here.
Ms. Ross.
Present.
All present.
Okay. Approval of the agenda. Any late additions, corrections? We just have a short agenda. Any?
Move to accept or approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you. Public comment. Steve, did you want to say something?
Yeah, you see on some of the, what we're going to be talking about today, restrooms are on there. I want to let you know that the use committee on the barn, we've been notified by the building safety department that we will need restrooms in order to have people inside the barn. So we are planning to have restrooms on the north side of the road somewhere. And I don't know how that's going to figure into restrooms, but it'll make any difference at all in the restrooms that you're talking about here. I just want to let you know that.
Could be a porta potty.
Porta potties are out. They won't let us do that.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I don't know that it's right, but that's correct.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes from February 28th. Did everyone get a chance to look at those?
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Any
Support.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, review of park priorities conceptual plan. That's why we're here today. It's the most important thing, and I hope we can get something accomplished. It's a little complex, and I appreciate that. And what I'd like to first do, we have this nice big map of what currently exists. This is a map from 2016, by the way, and it was carried over into the 2024 community park plan. It's the same map that's in there. And it shows what exists and what was proposed and all sorts of things. The only thing I found in looking at this that it might be missing, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you can find it, are the pit toilets on the south side of Burdickville Road, right behind the main entrance there. Because I just don't see them on this map. So it might be just an oversight probably. But our job is to try to prioritize where we want to keep things here, what we want to add, where we want to put them, so they're not in the way of each other, et cetera, et cetera. So we have that to work with. Then if we can go to this sheet that we made out, and Laurel kind of refined it a little. If you look at her sheet, you can, or you look at the one I made, it doesn't matter. Yours is in this packet, yeah. It's not a numbered page, but it's on the last page of the packet with handout today. And it shows, I think I went over this with Steve, but not the rest of you. It shows 3 columns, and what I put in column 1 are things that we can really address and are easy to address, and some of them have been. The first one on 1 is a master plan. We're already going to do that. And the other things down there are pretty simple to do, and it could be as simple as for restrooms, just the porta potties that we have, and we could say that's good enough. The water stations, the same thing. Scott has an improvised thing already. Do we want some fancy ones? Do we just want a spigot? Do we probably need a couple of them though? Same thing with crosswalks. I think we should have 2 crosswalks, one at the main entrance and then one that goes across Burdickville Road to go to the northwest section of the park. There's not one there, and I think there should be if we're going to really encourage that part of the park to be utilized. That's just a thought of mine. And then the rest of them we can go down, we can talk about later. But I have my ideas on this, but I really want you folks to talk to the whole committee and the committee to decide Or do we want to prioritize what we're going to do and what's going on? Column number 2, they're a little harder to do, and I need some more help from Scott and Steve, who's been around longer, about the baseball fields and how many we need, blah, 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 and all that. And this third column are the capital improvement things that we have in the drawer here. They're just kind of in limbo. And I don't know, we have to talk about them, but, they're there. And, I don't know where to go from there with those personally. Okay, I'm going to open it up for anyone else who wants to comment, please.
Don, before you get started, you should all have a 3-page document supplemental to the packet
Oh,
that
yeah, this
is
is from
provided by Scott Bradley, who wasn't able to attend
Yeah.
today. It had a picture of the,
Did you mail that to us?
no, it was on the table next to the packet.
What-
I didn't
So
pick that up.
you
Oh,
have
sorry.
a picture of a combined tennis court, pickleball court, and he said that most people don't like playing on those.
Pickleball people don't like it, tennis players don't like it.
The next sheet we can discuss later in the meeting, and that's regarding UDisc. It's an app, a scoring app, and we can discuss that later. But the last sheet were his notes on the priorities. And I printed in color so you can see his notes.
Did he talk to you about this UDIS thing? I saw that last night.
Just slightly in that he thinks that there's a greater usage of the court or the field, but most people don't use this
Right.
scoring app, so you don't have a good idea. But he said if we can encourage that, we get a better idea of who's playing it and how
I
many.
see. Well, it's popular. Whenever you go there in the summer, you see them all the time, yeah. Yeah, okay, please, conversation from the rest of you, please.
Well, as the newbie here, what has been sort of determined to be the main priorities over the course of the last couple of years? What have you been trying to accomplish?
Well, I think kind of our thrust at this point is to prepare ourselves mentally and physically with what we have for Myles to interface with Gosling Zubek, who we've hired to do a redo of this plan. So some of what's in front of you is like, they did a little bit of work 2 years ago when they were finishing up, or 3 years ago when they were finishing up a plan for Veronica Valley, and they assisted us in redoing our 5-year plan. The 5-year plan is in place so that we can go for grants. That's kind of a prerequisite. So every 5 years we redo our master plan, which is it's this guy.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to redo this one because we bumped into the fact that as we try to figure out what to do, we're not able to coordinate with elements that are sort of permanent in our mind, but then now maybe not so much. So we're at a point where, okay, what do we want? What don't we want? And we're kind of figuring out for ourselves some key elements on these lists that we want to emphasize with Gosling as they walk us through the redo.
Okay. And you guys determined which were the priorities? I think probably the walking trail, that's the paved trail. Is that a priority? Is parking a priority?
Probably anyone that a CIP is out, it seemed to, those are priorities in a sense, maybe not for all of us. I mean, Steve's not in favor of a dog park, others are. He says there's one in Northport, but that's a ways away. How far are you going to cart your dog to go to a dog park. If you want, since I mentioned dog park, one thing I did think of, we don't have to have a dog park, but in the northwest corner where we're looking for a better use for that, we could put in, I think it wouldn't bother the horses or anything like that. We could put in a dog walk over there. Doesn't have to be a dog park. That's just something I thought of, and, put a little loop dog park over, or a dog walk over there. Because right now the dogs walk on the trails, which is not a big deal, it's okay, that's fine. But they might like it over there too.
Yes, the walking trail, we, in our budget, each June, we put together a budget, and we asked for 190,000 to work on our paved walking trail, and it didn't make it.
No.
It didn't make it through, but the
Did I?
County Board of
Not last
Commissioners
year.
is considering that as a pretty high priority, especially now since we really asked for money for it. When the ARPA funds come in the next batch, there is a possibility that that would be included, but it is a high priority. In that, what we've run into with the walking trail, and this dotted line that represents a walking trail is not representative of what is mowed and being used there now. So that the mode being used cuts into the driving range, am I right?
I think so, a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd have to.
Anyway, the driving range is something that over the years as we start to use more of this part of the park, are we going to keep the driving range, or are we going to swing the walking trail into that area and eliminate or move the driving range? That's one of the issues that I think would be key to chat about today.
Is it feasible to move the driving range to the northwest corner? It's kind of a quiet thing. I mean, Ballsburg, there's a house over there, I know.
Don, I think one thing that you also need to keep in mind as you plan your conceptual plan, ignore the fact that there is a portion dedicated to the nursing home for their drain field. Work going forward, consider this use of the entire park.
Yeah, no, I
Only
agree with
because the board did review, and I'm not sure if I sent everyone a copy of the motion, but the board's given him 90
that.
days.
90 days.
Yeah, so they have to have a plan in place, I think, in July. And I have let them know that they are on the proposed July agenda and to keep me in the loop on how they're doing with their progress.
That means they would have a plan by July, then the work
Approved
might
by
be done a year later or
yeah.
something. But, no, but it's that shouldn't be an issue, not for the driving range anyway.
So that is to say that the nursing home has their drain field taken care of? Or it's not?
No.
They've got a date that they've got to have a plan in place in 90 days to move it.
It is currently on county, or on park property then?
Yeah, it goes right across the road from the nursing home, which is,
It's
the
the,
nursing home, you can see it. It's
Yeah, it's
outside,
just-
it's outside of the black dock, the black lines.
And it's fenced off. If you were to go to the park, there is an area that's all fenced off so that people can access it.
And it's,
Drive on it.
where is it approximately? I'm just curious.
It's right
like
across
here?
from
this
the
guy
south
right
side.
here, existing.
I see. Oh, it's across the road.
It's our property.
It's across the
Yeah,
road.
across the county road, on our park.
For
The
20
pipe
years,
goes
for
under the
20
road
years.
into the drain field
20
on our
years.
land,
And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, John, but the owners have known for quite a few years now that the lease was going to expire and they should make alternate arrangements. This
Was
is
it
not a surprise.
This is not a surprise.
No, it's not.
It was a 15-year lease, right?
20.
20-year lease,
Oh, wow.
No, 15.
15-year lease.
Pretty sure, because it was April 29th, 2008. So that's 15.
Right.
So basically, the nursing home was sold to them, and in that arrangement, they got that lease. So they had that many years to figure it out, which they haven't.
No.
This is an ask. I'm going to jump over to the column 3, the CIPs a minute. And can the committee think, I'm not saying we should, but it seems to me like the paved trail and the pickleball courts, if we had to choose 2 things off that list, would those be the 2 priority things? With the first one being the paved trail and the second one being the pickleball courts. Maybe I don't, I'm just asking. That might be my priorities, but what does our committee want to think it is? That's what I want to get consensus on.
The kiosk, we have 35,000, but this is what we're referring to, right?
Yes.
And so the kiosk is actually a porta potty pad.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
You know, it's 3 regulars and then
Right,
a
universal
UA.
access, a water
and then-
station,
then
and
on
information.
water, and then on the side of it's a kiosk. So it's a little,
It's more than a kiosk.
when it says kiosk, I would think that a third. I would definitely put that
That's a
in.
good idea. I think so too. I don't
As
know if
we
it's
think
number 3.
about-
Maybe that should be number 1 because it costs less money.
As, well, I mean, we're just figuring out what we want Gosling to include, so
Yeah.
I would definitely make that a high priority myself. The kiosk, the pickleball courts, the paved trail, definitely. And
Don't like that dog park. Eh?
I'm gonna let you pitch the dog park.
Oh, Tammy has, do you have dogs?
No, I do not.
Oh, shucks. Oh, you have dogs?
2 German Shepherds.
All right. You're our go-to lady.
No, we're not.
So anyway,
Don't be a wimp about this, come on.
in my mind, it's a lower priority, and if it fits somewhere,
No, I agree.
it is in place here, probably in as good a location as we could come up with, in this, park, I would say, in my mind. It's,
It's on the west, let's see, north-south, it's on the east side of the property across the
North end,
road.
yeah.
Well, we had always talked in the past about it being over in the field, maybe.
well, we've got the driving range too, and we can, maybe the dog park and the driving range can arm wrestle over that 10 acres. When you say 10 acres, it seems to me that's enough acres to have a driving range,
Sure
so.
is, yeah.
I don't know for sure, but they're gonna probably, measure it, put their feet on it, or, we'll be there, with a field trip, putting our feet on it to kind of figure out that one. But, one thing that, okay, Scott's list is great. Everybody's got that, right?
But he doesn't agree with us already.
Well,
He's a
it's
yes for
okay,
the
it's
dog
okay.
park.
But I mean, one thing, in that middle column, because on this, I don't think we have the basketball court surviving on our newer plan per se. And if you look over here, basketball, Scott says rare.
Totally.
So,
Wow.
yeah, so,
Same with the volleyball, it's very rare. But, and he doesn't have that listed, but we have one.
is volleyball listed?
Yes, I don't see it.
It's not listed, but we have one.
It is there, yeah.
Yeah, it is there.
Beach volleyball. Is it a sand?
Yep.
one?
There's a sand pit,
It
yeah.
is, okay.
So, yeah, and if you think about Leelanau County, if you want to do kind of a beach volleyball thing, there's a great spot in Empire in the sand, but you could put up a portable Northport, I know,
Northport has one, Traverse City has one.
and,
They're all over.
and they can, any beach area can be a beach volleyball area with a portable net. So I'm not so sure that that's something, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, but I'm not so sure that's something that we need to keep either. Good point.
The thing is, it doesn't take much. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything to keep it, but if it's a good location to expand our pickleball courts or whatever, then obviously it would go, but.
Right, right.
But I think it's past where they kind of show it on this app. That sandy area is the
Beach volleyball.
volleyball.
When you talk about.
Oh, there it is.
When you talk about the beach volleyball, it's right where the tennis and the pickleball courts want to go, and we only
It's-
have 2 tennis courts right now.
Half
And it'd
over.
be nice to have 4. It'd be nice to have 4 pickleball courts, actually.
The tennis thing that's at Glen Lake Schools is open to the public.
Correct.
So, and that's maybe a mile away. So if you're thinking of a resource for the community,
Mhm.
you know, I think pickleball would be where we
Better way
should
to
put our
go.
resources
Right.
versus,
And just keep the 2
Tennis
tennis
court.
courts. Leave those there, first provision.
right, they've been resurfaced a couple times in my tenure. And they get used, according to Scott.
I use them, and I would say if we have a compromise, it could be the new courts designate just pickleball, but maybe keep a combo court. So if someone's really a diehard, they're gonna get there to get the pickleball, but, you know, it's doable. It's not their preference, but it is doable. And I still think tennis is a viable sport for quite a,
Yeah, I
Oh, it
don't,
is. Yeah.
so I don't wanna get
If we,
rid, I guess,
if we mark up our tennis courts like this, we're gonna
Get flat.
lose some
It's-
tennis players and
And the pickleball
I
players.
agree.
pickleball players. I think maybe leave that alone and put our resources into pickleball. Let's do a pickleball thing.
Leave the tennis courts like they are.
And it,
they're usable. I don't know. I guess.
yeah,
No, I mean,
he says
don't
weekly,
realize that
so,
Oh.
Tennis players hate it, and so do the pickleball people. So, that's what they say anyway.
Does Gosling make recommendations on the use of the existing footprint, or are we the sole people that do that? I'm just wondering about utilization of the driveway, you know, the entrances, and which activities should be closest to parked cars, which one, you know, I think it's easier to get out, you know, if I want to get my golf bag out, if I can drive up to it, you know, pretty easily. I'm more apt, if I have to haul my clubs, you know, through a field, you know, that kind of thing.
That
That's
exists now, there's parking for the driving range where it is, and if we put it across
the
the road,
road.
a similar thing would happen.
Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering if they make recommendations, or if they go strictly with what we tell them we want to allocate it in a certain direction, or not, you know, I'm just, I don't know, I'm
They'll
just
tell
asking
us when
questions.
we're not
think-
doing it right.
yeah, I think traffic flow and parking is a key element for the park. And it's a little hard to see, the old plan had us doing a loop with the drive instead of just coming in and stopping. They had it doing a loop, you can kind of see it. So they did a loop, and they did a pavilion with toilets here, pavilion with toilets here, parking. So, you know,
I have a
resources,
good picture of that, but I didn't
water
put it.
and toilet here, resources, water and toilet here. So that concept of,
And what became of that concept? It was,
well, the concept, I think, for an initial plan was a good one. They had the ball fields getting bigger, and 2 big ball fields instead of 3 little ones. And according to Scott and what we've learned since, the usage is Little League. So the sizes are fine. They need a redo as far as outfield, because it's sloping instead of flat. But, so the dark lines have the existing ball fields, and the
Show
underlying,
John that. That's the, that was the latest one. That's the one we walked with,
Elmer's.
Elmer's, thanks.
This walking trail is a little more representative of where we're heading. And of course,
And it goes into the
the
driving.
driving range is there, so. And when they did this dotted line was a Gosling thing, because at that point, we were trying to keep the driving range.
Does it have a crossover on it? It should. I don't think it does. We wanted to put a crossover in too.
Crossover here.
What do you mean?
You know,
A
that you don't have
crosswalk?
to do the whole mile loop.
Oh, loop, yeah.
And if we
that's-
don't have the funds for a whole mile, we just do the
Yeah.
crossover and half the loop.
Yeah, that's another thing that Gosling can do, we can do a conceptual loop that cuts through the middle and cuts the walking in half, so to speak. We can also do across the middle the other way, and get several loop opportunities for walking trails. But we'd have to kind of squeeze in between the baseball and the soccer, so I don't know that. All of that conceptually they can help with. Being that we're going to keep the walking trail and maybe move the driving range, that helps them. But definitely parking and traffic flow is something that they would address.
I like the idea of moving, the driving range should have to be moved if we stay with that. Scott disagrees with us a little bit. He likes the dog park, he doesn't like the kiosk, but that's okay, we're here and he's not. So,
Well, I think
if you don't show up, you do this.
I think kiosk is a little underrepresentative of what that is actually.
Yeah,
It's the porta potty.
it's a lot, yeah, we
It's the
did.
porta potty thing that we're
Good point,
looking at, and
we have to have.
we went through a lot of energy to place this, and we put it on the soccer field side where we already have a pod. Are there four? I think there are 4 porta potties in a pod physically there right now on the soccer field side. So these would basically be replacing that over a concrete pad that would allow a wheelchair to get to the UA porta potty.
Well, the one on this map, where it is right here, it's pretty close to where we were talking about putting it. Right after the turnaround, I think we're up here a little bit away. It's in that same area though.
Oh, the restroom pavilion,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, restroom pavilion, same thing.
right.
So I think we got a good feel for the CIPs, which
Yeah,
ones
see,
we're gonna
yeah, Scott, he's
support.
got yes for restrooms UA on the left-hand column, so,
Yeah, he did. That's true.
yeah, so I think just
Oh, he wasn't thinking.
the idea of
that.
spending 35,000 on a kiosk wasn't something he was gonna go for, but he is saying yes for the restrooms, the UA porta potty.
Let me ask really quick, Laurel, this playground equipment 2023, is that a mistake or what? I did not do a CIP for playground equipment for Myles Kimmerly.
Well, it's,
And it showed up on the CIP sheet, that's why I put it on this form. Don't know,
I don't know.
okay, don't worry. about it.
The very first part of the
Scott says
folder,
yes.
the green binder, the very first page will have CIP in it.
That's where it is, yeah.
And if you look at Myles, replace, expand tennis courts, level and relocate baseball fields, irrigate picnic and ball diamonds, replace restrooms.
What's that first one on the list? that
So
multi?
that's, yeah,
That's been on there since 2016.
exactly. Yeah, so I was just
Oh, we
looking,
did
I was
that.
looking to see if playground equipment was on
What's the
there.
last one, way at the end? And Myles Kimmerly is listed as the receiver.
Paved loop, you put that in, 200,000,
Keep going down.
2 times.
Go to 2023, it's on 2023.
Oh, okay. Construction of 1-acre dog park enclosed by 5-foot fence to
Oh.
accommodate small and large dogs.
That was 2021. Keep going way down the list. It's practically the last thing on the list. And Myles Kimmerly's named, and I did not put a CIP on it. Anyway,
Yeah,
we can look
I'm
at that
not
later.
seeing it, but
Is the
anyway.
playground equipment there bad? Is it in bad shape?
I don't know, I just read by it.
It's old, yeah,
It is
there's,
old.
yeah, there's not much to it.
But it's not a priority for us right now.
I think,
You know, it does get used, I mean, there's a lot of
I think,
families, yeah.
It's not a bad idea to have playground equipment in the master plan because if you're thinking 10, 20 years out, something that would be more attractive to younger ones would be a good thing to think about there.
So we're gonna leave that in. Where is that right now? It's like, I think kind of where number 11 is. Picnic pavilion area. I think that's the only place I know that it is.
There's quite a bit of equipment in that corner area, isn't there? I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Up by
several
the
pieces,
pavilions.
right?
Yep. Swing set, you know.
You know, and
Nothing's listed on the form here.
as we look at, you know, let's just say, for instance, that the driving range goes away and maybe it's over here.
Yeah,
That opens up this whole area for us to use.
I like that.
And I know the original plan that was done by Leah, Dusty, had parking, the loop, so you could come around with your car. So there was parking here, there was a pavilion here, there were restrooms here, kind of near soccer and baseball. So there's some over on this side. You know, if we keep that pit toilet over here for the people that are on this side, maybe we replace the pit toilet at some point, but then we keep the 4 porta potties here, opens up, maybe we do porta potties here. And then we use this part of the park. And they can help us with traffic flow and parking. You know, if we're trying to use this whole park and we're coming in here and have this parking and this parking only, and we're suggesting to people they use the whole park, then they end up parking on County Road, or, you know, where do they park if they're gonna use this end of the park, you know, with their cars? So it's an issue that they can help us with maybe, and I think we've got some things now that we're definitely gonna prioritize.
And then we'd like
got
to-
pickleball, we've got a walking trail, we're gonna move possibly the driving range and free this up. He has driving range daily.
That sounds good. I like that. It would have an exit. It'd be a loop. You can, you don't have to go all the way back. You're gonna have an exit on the road, 2 exits.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that, yeah, it's something that was on the first conceptual plan, and now we're going for a second to see what, and you know, I don't know what they're gonna say. It's just a matter of,
Well, our job today is to give them as much guidance as we can. And then we're gonna give them more when we meet with them, but we have to have a good start. I think that is a good start. Thinking about the driving range over there, it's good. You know, the CIPs that we want. What else? Anything else? People?
Well, I remember in my days when my boys were young, and they did both Little League and soccer here. The thing that I noticed, of course, was, you know, you've got a bench full of 9, 10, 11-year-olds, and suddenly someone's got to go to the John. And they're
Way away.
they're quite a ways away. It was definitely and I was particularly true if you're in the far soccer field. And particularly if it's raining out or something like that, then it gets a little inconvenient
Yeah.
on how far away the Johns are.
I agree.
And, you know, the parking was an issue, particularly if there were schools that were coming in that were, you know, there were school buses kind of parked at different places, and they got a little, so, you know, and this is all just anecdotal, this is just me being there, you know, so, you know, take it with, for whatever it's worth, but I would, the first question I'd have about moving the driving range over to the north side of the road would be what kind of elevation does that thing, I think it goes up towards the woods, right? Or does it-
Gradually.
Pretty flat.
Okay, then
It's
that
fairly-
might be a really nice place for it. I don't, you know, certainly you could see some yard markers or something out there. But I don't know what,
Well, it would go east to west, that's for sure, I'm pretty sure of that, yeah.
that's what I don't know, because then it would slope across it, wouldn't it? So, I don't know. Anyway, what I'm getting at is what, I know that the grass is in fairly decent shape over where the current one is. I don't know what it's like in that field.
No,
I don't know if they can
that-
pick up
that-
balls over there. I don't even know, you know.
It's a field, they were growing hay over there.
Exactly, they were, you know,
It would have to be worked
right.
on.
But, so just as a guy who's used the park over a number of years with a young family and then whatever is, I appreciate the idea of actually making this, you know, the plan to which you alluded they had already done, where there were two functional entrances somehow, and a more centrally located group of public toilets.
Absolutely.
You know, that to me, I think makes the whole, you know, rather than having to force, you know, so much of your capital improvement on one, you know, the expensive part, to one entrance of the park, you know, maybe we would be wise to try to get them to, over time, develop both entrances and kind of get the pavilion and the place where, you know, the pad where you do put some additional porta potties and that sort of thing, more towards the central part of the park. But again, I'm here mostly to listen.
Well, I think that-
I really appreciate that input, you know, having you live through a time frame where you had a family that recreated and used the park, that's.
Oh, it's very valuable, but as you know, things change. I mean, you know, like, geez, who would have thought 25 years ago anybody would be doing disc golf over there? I mean, it's the weirdest thing. You know, people's
It's
tastes
popular,
change.
probably most popular.
I mean, when I was using the parks, there was always like 3 tetherball poles. Whoever plays tetherball anymore? You know, people's tastes change. So it's-
Cameron, you've been silent, sort of.
Yeah. Well, I guess I feel like we keep talking about the same things over and over again, and I just feel like
We're there.
we're there. We need just to get moving on this and
Yes.
have that meeting with Gosling on site. And has that been scheduled yet, or?
Well,
Steve's
I can reach out. Put that on my little baby to-do list.
We have them ready to go.
Because if we want to meet with them before they start, yeah, we're talking, hopefully, I thought we were talking April, but now we're talking May.
That was April 1st, I thought, yeah. Well, because I wanted this, that was me that held up Steve. I said, I want us to talk about this before we meet them, because we have to give them some ideas. They're gonna say, what do you guys want? And we gotta give them an idea, and sort of, we've kind of said a little today, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
We prioritized the CIP things a little bit. We've talked about expanding the park to the east, so everything's not so congested on the west side, and having a loop driveway going through, and that was in there before, and I think that's good. More porta potties, pickleball courts, hold it on the tennis courts. What about the baseball thing? Scott says leave them the way they are, I think he said, didn't he? He says we need all three
Baseball's
baseballs.
seasonal.
We need all 3 baseball courts?
All of the baseball
Courts,
fields
fields.
are used.
Are they the
The
right
two
size?
that are more to the east are Little League, and the one that's near the entrance road is softball or families and that kind of thing.
So they are used.
That's
But there's
my
no team
understanding.
sports there or anything like that, there's not.
The two on the right, the Little League, that's
Well, that
That's
is, okay.
bona fide Little League plays there.
Yeah, we as a committee, we should be aware of the schedule that they have, so we know how, for utilization purposes only, that's all. So we have an idea, the soccer times, things like that. Scott could help us with that.
So,
We did get rid of that baseball field that's outside on your map. It says baseball field, but there's no baseball field there.
Where's that, please?
On the L of the track, you'll see
Correct.
another baseball field. That's
Correct.
gone, right?
That's
We're not,
Oh, okay, that is good. Okay,
That's
good.
gone.
make sure that
Make sure that's on there. Thanks.
we don't want that anymore. We don't need it.
So,
no,
Good point.
it's very lightly.
oh, this one here.
This here.
Right, that here. No, that's not,
That's
not there.
gone.
No, that's,
That was that other concept that, as it turned out, wasn't something we ended up heading for. We just stick with the Little League. I think Cameron's idea, and where we need to go with this discussion is good. We've gotten, I think, enough, I think we feel good about where we're heading and our concepts and our ideas. We can talk with Gosling and flesh those out a little bit.
I think so.
So, are we going to meet with Gosling
Whatever.
just as the committee?
I think we should, absolutely.
Just the
Okay.
committee, not the whole, okay.
Yeah.
And at some
What do you
point,
think the
four of
whole,
us?
yeah.
Okay.
at some point,
Laura?
the,
How many meetings were approved in that conceptual plan proposal?
ooh,
I think you're limited on how many times.
I think there was one. There was one.
Throw me my
In the beginning.
form back that
I'm
you
almost
passed down. there. John? Yeah, thanks, because it's in there, I think.
don't they do unlimited free meetings?
Well,
well, we whittled them down to a pretty tiny amount of money.
It said meet with them, then there's a site visit.
That was it, wasn't it? The site visit was,
No, there's 2, meet with PNR commission. So they say with the full commission, but we can just, or ad hoc group, that would be us on the committee. Then a site visit to review.
Is that the contract?
Yeah. Oh, not the contract, the first thing, no, not the contract. I don't have that with me.
that exempt.
No, I don't have that.
Well,
Let me ask Steve, in the audience, Steve, how do you feel about a driving range in the northwest corner? Is that going to be too cumbersome for the, I know we want preservation of the area, but it's, it's kind of, we have to compromise somewhere here.
That could be reversible in the future. We're not gonna, just a driving range of the building.
Yeah, exactly.
Say that would be a
Yeah.
good use in the short term.
And usually there's just one guy out there at a time. And it's used daily, Scott says, but I have yet to see anybody there. But he collects golf balls. They have to go defend their own balls and stuff, so I don't know. It gets it out of the way over here and gives us the opportunity to do expansion, so I think that's good. And I think John's right about, it was a hayfield. It's gonna take a little thing to make a fairway.
And again, just as a practical matter, does the county have a thing that picks up balls, whatever they call that thing? So it's just up to whoever's out
Yeah,
there
that's right.
to
You
go pick up
find
your own balls.
Right, yeah.
It's not like we're a professional.
Exactly.
You know, it's just a training range, that's all.
Well, it's an interesting comment that he made here. It said driving range gets used daily, but Sugarloaf is not free. Well, there's a reason Sugarloaf is not free. They have the equipment to go pick up the balls.
If we were to put the driving range over there, I don't know what else you could put over there in addition, because it compromises the whole area somewhat. You'd have to put some nets up because there's houses on that to the north of it, so.
I personally like the feel of just keeping it natural and
I do
maybe
too.
enhancing it with native species.
That'd be
And
nice.
it could be a little semi-trail of education. That's my forestry bend on it, of course.
How can we deal with the driving range? Can we just get rid of it?
I'm a golfer and I go to Sugarloaf
Yeah.
for a $5 bucket and I don't have to pick up the balls. I mean, I don't know. But Scott is our expert in knowing
Yeah, he
use.
says-
He says it's used. I never have ever
Yeah.
seen anyone there.
He says Sugarloaf is not free.
Yeah, that's,
Well, sure,
Driving
priority
range
for me.
gets used daily, so there's, you know, I don't know how many different people it would be, but maybe it's 3 different people.
Going.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I don't know the number of people.
Would it make sense to have some sort of green belt delineating the property line, and that would also, you know, provide some fencing eventually?
On that north field.
yeah, you'd have
that's
to
a
do something
possibility.
like that.
So they're gonna do one site visit to review proposed conceptual park improvements and participate in one meeting.
Wow, for $4,700.
So, yeah, we better make that meeting count.
That's why we're having this meeting today.
I'm glad we did, yeah. So,
It doesn't say the length of the meeting.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I like the way you
That
think.
meeting's gonna count, so, you know, we do a 9 to noon or something like that.
And do the usual where we start here and have a conversation
Well,
and then move it
I-
out to the park, or?
I'm not sure, Laurel, they said they're gonna do one site visit, and I assume that means on site.
Yeah,
So
go
would we
without
have to
saying.
do a start here and go there and come back?
Well, last time, what did we
The
sign?
last time, we actually lost our quorum, so there was no reason to come back. And I'm not suggesting someone come up with a conflict. You know, it just is how it happened.
is there a topo map anywhere of this property that shows the?
And this,
The county website has really good information, LiDAR.
Our GIS guy in equalization.
Yeah, Rob Herman is here, and he's very helpful. If you want to get a map, he'll find it for you.
So if we follow protocol, we start here, and on the day we're gonna do the site visit, and then we end up there. And we have to come back here to finish the meeting? Might not be a bad idea, because it might give us a little more oomph going into the second, which would be our meeting here with them.
So you think it's a one-off thing, it's all done in one day and?
No,
Oh,
I'm not for that at all. I'm for the site visit, where and protocol is we start here, and we go and meet them there, and do whatever we need to do with them, and then we have to come back here to finish the meeting, which in my mind isn't such a bad idea, because by the time we get back here, we'll have a bunch of ideas to bounce around with and prep ourselves for the meeting with them here, which I'm thinking
Oh, I
should be at least like a 9 to nooner.
So you're saying?
3 hours, I would
So you're
say.
saying we meet here, just us, and then we go there and meet them, and then them and us are together, and then we come back here, just us.
Right,
Okay.
right, because they're only on the docket for one site visit and one meeting.
And we want the site visit first.
I'm thinking.
I think that's not a bad idea.
That'd be wise.
That sounds good.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna set that up. And make sure we're all.
Sure, this is it. How many times I gotta redo this?
That's
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 Leah's,
the
right?
Leah one.
Mhm.
So see, they had a loop.
Yeah, and then they have the loops, they have
And
the.
then the parking and the pavilion, and so they also had a ball field here, which won't happen, but they had, I think, another soccer field.
That's
here. Multi-purpose field.
Yeah.
So they were making use of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
And they put the walking trail in, like we're thinking.
well, they're almost out to the perimeter.
And they tell me
Yeah.
that's the reason they don't use it.
Yeah,
way out
because
to
it's not
there.
taken care of.
Outdoors.
We would have
Yeah,
more
and
events
then
there now.
Don took his, I think,
Mhm.
Because we have these
the
buildings
question
over
of
there,
whether
so
we
they
come
should even be
along
doing
here
it, we should say.
versus.
Yeah,
going
Rosalie's
there.
willing to meet you out
Still
there,
up in
which
the
would
air.
be probably.
We go
Nice
this
too,
way,
just
we
to-
run into
yeah.
lots of elevation change, we run into the first.
But the
floor
archery does
driving
use
range,
it.
Or the,
In the
Disc golf.
fall or spring, I
it
remember.
makes
Yeah,
it
one of them.
more
That's a 4-H
expensive if we
event.
come up here, it's
4-H
less
club.
expensive, and
They
then we
get- they
avoid
planted, they have a community
another
garden over
cross there.
No, that's
crossing
the
over that
barns.
entrance.
That's not 4-H.
But
What
anyway,
is it? What is
The barns.
it?
Really, the only
Yeah.
real functional difference between this and this is the two ball fields here,
correct,
mostly.
yeah, all three ball fields, yeah, that made mostly, correct. And they,
So-
when they started their redo, they weren't thinking the loop at that point, and not that they would eliminate it, but they just kind of started, you know.
This is from 2016.
Okay, what else can we do today?
We need a date,
Yes.
we need to think about dates.
When it's warm and sunshiny.
May
Yeah.
3rd is bad.
Hey, what?
3rd is bad.
It's
I've
bad.
already scheduled the settlers for visit site at Marker early afternoon. They'll return here before the regular session, and then we have the regular session. And I believe that's the same day as the planning board. So,
Yep, third
that
out.
works bad.
Well, do you think we're gonna, the difficult person will be Gosling, won't it? Stupid? No?
I think they'll be pretty flexible.
Oh, okay, good.
BPW got canceled, right?
Yep.
So that's the 9th.
And we're very busy with
Oh, it's a
executive board.
meeting.
But after, in the afternoon, I'm good.
Well, I mean, we've got people that have to coordinate, start here and go there. It's, you know, it's a whole day thing. I don't know.
That's
You know what I'm
fine.
saying?
Yeah.
So that's not good.
Wednesday, the 10th?
I have a commitment that afternoon, so I'm going to be working part of the day that day.
I do too.
I'm constantly underwater, so it doesn't matter.
We got you here today. though. I got to meet you and see your face.
That's what you're gonna give me like a month more.
So we're out like maybe
16th,
the
17th?
16th, maybe the 16th.
16th or 17th, yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday?
I can't do this.
Wednesdays are typically better for me.
Yeah, I think
No,
so.
Wednesday.
17th 's
I can't
better.
Let's do Tuesday.
No, Wednesday.
16th doesn't work for me.
17th is good.
Oh, for
17th.
Lori?
Yeah, I'm
So-
sorry.
That'd be great.
No, don't be sorry.
17th is fine.
This works?
Yeah.
17 works for me.
Yep.
Grab it.
Yeah.
Wednesday the
Do
17th.
we need to worry about this room?
So what
We won't be
time
here
do
that
you-
long?
I'll
or-
go ahead.
Okay.
What time?
If they can make it, that's great.
What time, Steve, do you think?
So, I think, so I'm thinking afternoon. If we need to start here. So, start here at 1, meet them at, say, 1:45.
Okay.
Well, I hope they're flexible.
Well, find out.
Why don't we give them the 16th as an alternate too? Because they might.
Afternoon is fine.
Doesn't work for Lori.
Oh.
Doesn't work for Lori.
Okay.
18th.
Okay, the 18th.
Let's make it the 18th alt. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Does that work?
I
Yep,
can't do the
18th, okay.
18th either, I'm sorry.
Not for Lori.
Huh?
Well, morning on the 18th would work,
We
but I can't do it.
moonlighting somewhere? What's going on?
So she has a life.
I do have a life.
If we did a morning, when you say morning, Lori,
Like 9 o'clock
what's
until
the
1.
other side of morning that you have to bug out on?
I'm not sure.
I have to bug out at
12, 1,
11.
2. Can you go past noon?
I can go up to 1 o'clock on that day, so I could go 9 to
You
1
could finish here?
Yep.
Okay.
on the
But I'd be out of
18th.
here by 11, so, but that's,
So if we start here at 9 and figure we're gonna go to 1, that should give us enough
I
time.
thought
Sure.
Kama
Yeah,
said
but
she
till
But
after-
would.
Laura will be there. She can come back and finish.
Okay,
go for it.
so that's our backup.
That's
date.
the backup, so
That's
yes.
a backup.
So that would be 9, did you say?
Start here at 9 a.m.
Okay.
and we'll go through 1 o'clock there.
What day is the backup?
And we'll,
Thursday, the 18th.
18th, okay.
17th or 18th.
so we'll meet them there at 9:45 and we'll go through 1 o'clock. There, we'll be back by, let's say, 1:45 on the 17th. Back by 4:30.
Okay, go back to the 18th, 9 o'clock until what time do you think?
9 a.m., we're gonna go to 1 there,
Okay,
and you'll have to leave and Laurel will finish.
okay, all right. That's okay.
We'll
with me.
end up-
Okay. And that's only on backup, so,
Do you want to contact counseling or do you want me to?
I can contact Gosling.
so Wednesday the 17th.
Unless you want to.
Is 1 o'clock till,
Could you?
say 4?
That'd be great. Thank you, Laurel. That'd be great.
And the 17th would begin at 9. Is that what?
Here at 1,
Here at 1.
And then till
17th here
about
at
4,
1.
you think?
And then we'll meet them at 1:45 there. And we'll be back here at 4:30.
We got it?
We're pretty close.
Okay. Public comment?
Thing that was mentioned during the Veronica Valley meeting, is that Tuesday, Steve? Or yesterday? Tuesday.
One of those.
Yes, this week. They are going, we went on site there and we did a little tour of the front of the park. And it was mentioned that Scott has equipment to spray paint lines in case we try to delineate certain things. So that is something available going forward. We're trying to brain out how you want things laid out in the park. He has a device that rolls with spray paint.
I did also send to you, Don, information about the Sparks grants.
Hmm.
And again, you know, they've got another round opening up May 1st,
Oh, no, fine for
closing
that.
end of June. So,
You did note in the minutes from February, the fellows that came and talked about pickleball from Empire, they applied for a Sparks grant and they didn't get it.
so they've divided up Sparks differently now, though. They've got 2 different categories to apply under. One is for underserved communities, which is probably why they didn't get it, and the reason why we probably wouldn't be very eligible under that. But the other is open for us, and I really think, first of all, I think the county needs a professional grant writer on staff that can help us move forward with these. But since that isn't in place right now, I still think we need to ask ourselves and our community, is there a grant writer out there that could help us at least start to try for some of these grants? We learned so much along the way, and I think we would show the Board of Commissioners that we're not just relying on asking them every year for capital money, which may or may happen through ARPA funds or may not, but I just think as a committee, we need to show people that we're trying to find financing to implement. Why have a plan if we have no idea we can find
I think
funding
that's a
for it?
great discussion point. That group, that Glen Arbor group, hired
Exactly.
help
Some of them in our room.
from Ann Arbor,
Yep.
but maybe there was a connection. I
I'm
don't know
sure.
how they chose Ann Arbor,
Cost
but,
money too.
you know, there's probably, just as a guess, but, you know, if you want to do a side gig in this county or the surrounding 3 counties, putting your shingle up saying grant writer,
Totally.
it's pretty digitally easy to do, and I think there's probably some pretty good expertise, and it might be relatively competitive.
I've always thought.
Finding somebody here, I think, would be a good idea as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I need to go to Ann Arbor to try to find a grant writer. I don't know. I'm ignorant.
Well, I'm not an expert, but I do know that if you ask, you're only going to get a no. So we haven't even asked, as far as I can see in your past here. I mean, when's the last time that you asked for a grant for Myles Kimmerly Park?
I was coming, never.
Never. Okay.
Dave Barron's put in tons of effort.
For the Veronica Valley.
Veronica Valley.
And was successful sometimes. I mean, we had some.
No.
We were going for the trust fund monies, the oil monies.
Yeah.
That the state divvies out, and then those are the monies that we garnered to buy Veronica Valley back in the day. So
Sure.
that was great, but for us, we're pretty limited in point systems to purchases. Once we get into how, you know, doing other stuff in the park, we don't get to garner enough points to get the money from that organization. So they put in a lot of energy, tons, and was able to move through it. We did as a group back when we bought Veronica. So we have some history, but that's it, and it takes an awful lot of time and energy, and typically the people on the commissions and committees don't have that kind of time. So I would agree, let's maybe do a search for a grant writer.
I think it's easier to get some grant money if you have some guaranteed money up front, where you have some dedicated fund. Somebody says, okay,
Some
I'm gonna give you I have $100,000 match. You go out and you get grant money to match. If you have some kind of a match thing going, that helps. Sure. If you have some money to start with, some fund money to start with. And I did write a 2% grant for the tribal thing for, I forget what it was for even now. That was a couple of years ago. But we have to decide, was it the commission decides? We can only send one or so in.
We have to approve them.
You have to approve them, and he says, no, you can't send it in because the Veronica Valley's doing one this year, so that, but stuff like that. And he said, gee, why is that? Why can't we just send them all home? But I guess it's not appropriate. Anyway, okay.
So should we be looking at the date that we're going to meet here with them?
Do we expect them to have something preliminary for us to review? I mean, why else would we meet?
Yeah,
So
let's
that would be a
do
question
Do
for
that
them,
one,
wouldn't
then
it?
we'll decide, yeah.
That's a question for them,
We'll have
and then
to-
we'll have to decide. That'll be a good reason to come back after the site visit is to
Right.
set that
We can
date,
do that
There you
then.
go.
unless we can do it there. Okay.
Anything else? Okay, public comment?
Most of you know who I am. I don't know what Mr. Ernst does. I'm Steve Steyer, and I'm the president of the Leelanau County Historic Preservation Society. And we have a lease on, it's number 3 on your map. It's about 2 acres in the Fort Farm Barn. And I see on column 1 here, you got partners with cultures. And so as far as we're concerned, Elchels is concerned, we're already a partner. Okay? And the other thing is that going through this process of having public assembly in the barn, we're looking at having restrooms and also parking is going to be another big thing that we're going to have to, another hurdle that we're going to have to overcome. So whatever way we can cooperate on those things would be great.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just for John's benefit, the Poor Barn has a 25-year lease on the barn and the surrounding, what, 1 acre or something with it, or something?
Almost 2 acres.
2 acres. Yeah, but it's still part of the park, even though it's leased out to them.
Question for you, Steve, the gardens are gonna happen again as beautifully as they did?
Yeah, we're going to expand to the east another 40 feet.
Couple of beds over that way, or?
Yeah, there'll be,
Great.
yeah, more vegetable gardens.
And you're gonna do the prep with horses again?
Probably not for the gardens, but the horses. There's that area just on the east of the pedestrian walkway that she's agreed, well, we're going to look at it to see if we can disc that up some and break the side up and level it out. So that's where the horses will be.
Thanks,
Plus
Steve.
we'll have wagon rides.
Okay, board comments? Any comments from the board? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Thank you, adjourn. You go. Thank you all.